Hello, and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. We're going to start off by looking at Mirrodin Besieged now, which is part 2 of the Scars and Mirrodin block, and we're going to start off by looking at Battle Cries, which is a white and red deck. What I really like actually in Mirrodin Besieged and in the next set is there's been a slight tweak to the packaging. Just up in the top left, you can see there is the little Mirrodin symbol, which is something I quite like. That they because Mirrodin Besieged only has like 4 decks in it, which originally I thought was weird. But there's actually 2 aligned to Mirrodins and 2 aligned to Phyrexia, which is just kind of cool. Like I suppose like if if you and your friend were like super into the storyline, I suppose one of you could buy a Mirrodin deck and the other could buy a Phyrexian deck and have like this kind of like a dual deck kind of experience. I thought that's kind of cool. But anyway, let's look at Battle Cries. So it's basically white red aggro, which is fine. Some of the cards in this deck use a new keyword that was introduced once and is actually I lie. I was going to say it's never been used again. I think it has cropped up occasionally in maybe stuff like Commander sets or Horizon sets, stuff like that. But yeah, it's Battle Cry. So an example of this, let's look at a Corda Paladin. So 1 and a white for a 3/1, which on its own is like perfectly fine. And it has Battle Cry. So Battle Cry is whenever it attacks, each other attacking creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So it doesn't give the boost to itself, but it does give it to everything else, which is fine. Essentially getting a free power boost when you attack, I think is perfectly fine. So 2 of those. And then 3 Kuldotha Ringleaders, 4 and a red for a 4/4 with Battle Cry, and it has to attack every turn if able, which is alright, I suppose. And then 2 Signal Pests, just 1 mana for a 0/1 artifact creature. It has Battle Cry, and it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. So this Battle Cry ability kind of tells you what the deck strategy is really. I think it's go wide, it's red white weenies, be very aggressive. Obviously, if you're getting more than sort of like 2 or more of these Battle Cries popping off each time, then that's pretty good. Unfortunately, these are the only Battle Cry cards in the deck. There are, even though weirdly there were quite a few more, like in both white and red. There was at least one more white one. There was like a Loxodon one, and then there was one extra red one, which I'll talk about in what could have been. But yeah, this is it. This is the only Battle Cry cards in the deck, which is confusing because there was definitely room to get more in there. But anyway. So the foil face of the deck is Victory's Herald. So 3 and 3 white for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever it attacks, attacking creatures get flying and lifelink until end of turn, which is a really big swingy effect. Give your whole board evasion and lifelink. Really, really strong effect. I really wish it had Battle Cry as well. That'd have been great. Because the thing there's no rare creatures with Battle Cry. Battle Cry is it's mostly in white and red. So there's that one artifact creature, the Signal Pest. There were 2 mythics with Battle Cry as well, which is a shame because it would have been nice to have one of those in the deck. But these decks don't include mythics. So I really wish Victory's Herald had Battle Cry. But then I think if it attacks, give it all your attacking creatures +1/+0 and flying and lifelink might be a little too strong. As it is, I think it's really good. Like casual kitchen table rare, like really strong effect that would really kind of close out a game. So yeah, I quite like it. So then we have, moving on, we have 2 Ardent Recruit, so 1 white mana for a 1/1, has Metalcraft, so Metalcraft has come back from Scars and Mirrodin, that's carrying over, and it gets +2/+2 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. So there is like a minor Metalcraft theme in this deck as well. So yeah, that's kind of fun to see that. This is an okay effect. Obviously, it's a 1/1 for 1, and Metalcraft is not difficult to meet. And then it shoots up to being a 3/3, which is pretty good for only a single white mana. Yeah, quite like it. And then a Razorfield Rhino, 6 mana for a 4/4, has Metalcraft, gets +2/+2. So yeah, this is also just fine, big, chunky, common, just to beat face with. Yeah, perfectly fine. We have a Leonin Relic Warder, so 2 white mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile a artifact or enchantment, and when it leaves the battlefield, you return the exiled card to the battlefield under owner's control. So there's not really much in the deck that this synergizes with. This is mostly for locking away artifacts or enchantments that your opponent has, until they until they deal with the Relic Warder, which is, you know, it's okay. I think for 2 white mana, I think it's fine to have this kind of limited O-ring effect. I think it's okay. A single Leonin Sky Hunter. This is a nice reprint from original Mirrodin. Just 2 white mana for a 2/2 flyer. Yep, perfectly fine. Goes with the deck. That's, you know, things are cheap and you're meant to be just attacking as much as possible. This is perfectly fine. 2 Peace Striders. Now, I don't really agree with this being in the deck. So it's 4 mana for a 3/3, which is okay. I mean, yeah, it's just that's serviceable. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, which is fine, I guess. It's just a bit dirtly. There's a Phyrexian like counterpart to this, the Pierce Strider, who is 1,000 times better because when it enters the battlefield, your opponent loses 3 life, which is much stronger than you gaining some life. So I really wish this had been something else, like either, I know, equipment or some more Battle Cry creatures or something. Single Mersmith, 1 and a white, 2/1. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can pay 1. And if you do, you make a colorless artifact creature token, which is fine. Makes makes another creature that's going to benefit from Battle Cries. So yeah, this is okay. Single Gold Mer and 2 Iron Mer. Yep, these are the mana Mers. We've seen these loads of times. Just 2 mana 1/1s that tap to give you mana. Yep, perfectly fine. And 2 Memnites, 0 mana for a 1/1. Talked about Memnite a bit before in the, I think they were in the Metalcraft deck, the red-blue one before. But yeah, look, they look so innocent. Just it's 0 mana just for 1/1 with no abilities. But oh my god, just so much constructed combo potential from this. If you look at the last video, I put a big list of all the Memnite combos out there. But yeah, this is fine. Again, it's just a really, I mean, obviously it's cheap. It can't get cheaper. It's just another way to drop it and get towards Metalcraft. You don't have too much Metalcraft paying off. It's like the deck is not reliant on Metalcraft, but it's nice when you get it, I suppose. And then some M11 filler, just Siege Mastodon and Silvercoat Lion. These didn't need to be in here. Like there were perfectly good creatures from Mirrodin Besieged that could have gone in here instead. But I suppose there's the obligation. We've got to have some M11 cards in here to kind of fill up a bit of space. It's weird that they were chosen. Like you could have just put in like, I don't know, like pacifism or safe passage, something like that. Like a generic kind of combat trick. But anyway. So the other rare is White Sun's Zenith, so X and triple white. So the 2 rares in here actually both triple white, which is hurts a little bit in a 2-color deck, I think. But anyway, White Sun's Zenith, instant speed. You put X 2/2 white cat creature tokens onto the battlefield, and then shuffle White Sun's Zenith. So this is pretty good. Really plays the deck's theme of kind of going wide with a bunch of tokens, all get Battle Cry benefits. So yeah, this is pretty good. I like all the Zeniths. They're all pretty fun cards, I think. So yeah, I like this pretty solid rare. 2 arrests, yep. 2 and a white. Aura goes on a creature. They can't attack or block and activate abilities. Yep, perfectly fine. And then 3 Master's Call. So this would have been amazing if it had been in Scars and Mirrodin, because this would have just been like a 4 of in the Mer deck. So 2 and a white. Instant speed, put 2 colorless Mer artifact creature tokens into play. So it's basically 1 more expensive than Raise the Alarm, but just to make Mer instead, I suppose. This is pretty good, obviously, and the 3 of them in the deck is actually pretty nice one. And it just helps you get tokens on the board for Battle Cry, and obviously helps meet Metalcraft as well. So yeah, this is pretty good. A single concussive bolt. This is an absolute game ender, because I went to the Mirrodin Besieged pre-release, and I didn't really get the card pool to build Green-Black Infect, which was like the meta. So I think I ended up building some sort of, I can't remember what I built. It had red in it. I can't remember what my secondary color was. I think maybe red-green. Which which was not great. But yeah, Concussive Bolt was great. I actually won a few games off Concussive Bolt because it does a lot. So 3 and 2 red. Does 4 damage target player, which is, I think, fine at 5 mana, I guess, at sorcery speed. But if you have Metalcraft, their creatures can't block this turn. So you've assembled a huge board. You shoot them for 4, and then not only have you shot them 4, but now they can't block that turn, so you swing in with all your creatures. This can suddenly win you a game, kind of out of nowhere, or at least really give you momentum and put an opponent kind of on the back foot. So yeah, really, really good card, and it's common as well, which is actually really, really good. I really like Concussive Bolt. I think it's a pretty good card. And then 2 Galvanic Blast, which is also a pretty good card. Talked about it a bit before in previous videos, but yeah, it is basically it's shock, but if you have Metalcraft, it does 4 damage instead. So yeah, it's super good. And like like I said, like Metalcraft is not hard to meet in this deck. So a lot of the times this is just better Lightning Bolt, which is quite a claim to make, I think. And then 2 Origin Spellbombs, 1 colorless, 1 tap, sack it to make a Mer creature token, and when it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay a white, and if you do, draw a card. So, yeah, 1 colorless, 1 white to make a token and draw a card, I think is pretty good. Yeah. And then bit of equipment, Viridian Claw, just 2 mana, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has first strike, and it's really cheap equip cost. So first strike is pretty good. This was the good anti-infect creature tech, just because yeah, you'd use first strike to I mean, even the flavor text hints at it. Yeah, this would be how you would kind of deal with infect creatures like a little bit better. Obviously, though, infect creatures like having first strike as well, obviously. But yeah, this is like a pretty good bit of equipment, I think. It's just really cheap and it does a lot, I think. And then a single Whisper Silk Cloak. I was shocked. This was the because I thought Whisper Silk Cloak had been printed like like a billion times, and it sort of has. But this M11 printing was the last time it was in a core set. Every time it's been printed since, I think it's just been in like supplementary products, like like commander decks or like dual decks or whatever. So I think this is the last printing in a core set of Whisper Silk Cloak, which is very weird. I thought it'd been printed, I say, like loads and loads of times, and it actually goes for quite a bit, which is I've got, I think about 10 of these in a box upstairs. But anyway. Yeah, Whisper Silk Cloak is super good. 3 mana equipment, makes the equipped creature unblockable and has Shroud, and it equips for 2. Yeah, it's just really good. Really like Whisper Silk Cloak. And then 8 mountains, 16 plains. So we do actually have more plains than mountains, which is fine, because I say you got the 2 rares which are triple white. The deck is like predominantly white, so this is fine, I think. So what could have been? Well, I think I would have leaned more into the aggressive creatures. Victory's Herald, I think, is fine. The White Sun Zenith, maybe, I don't know. I thought Hellkite Igniter would be okay. So 5 and 2 red for a 5/5 flying with haste. And like that on its own is really good. But it has this ability, 1 in a red, gets +X/+0 to the turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. And I say, if your deck's kind of got like a Metalcraft theme to it, then this just synergizes with that quite well, and then this would be a huge threat in the air. So that could have been an alternate rare. Mirrodin Crusader, I thought, could be an alternate rare. This was like really strong at the time. It's actually, it doesn't go for that much anymore, but at the time this was like a really strong card. 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 double strike, pro black and pro green. So it was like just the anti-Phyrexia card. And just, I mean, even if it didn't have pro black and pro green, I think just being a 2/2 double strike for 3 would have been is like pretty good anyway. So yeah, this could have been also rare. And I don't know again what instead of, like maybe instead of again the White Sun Zenith, I guess. And Goblin War Driver, this was like one of the other red Battle Cry creatures, and I think better than the Kuldotha Ringmaster, just because it's cheaper. Yeah, double red for a 2/2 with Battle Cry. So yeah, this definitely, I think, should have been in here, because it comes down cheap and it's giving the Battle Cry earlier in the game rather than having to wait for it, like with the Kuldotha Ringmaster. And then you've got, I guess, this nice curve of the Signal Pest, Goblin War Driver, and Accorder Paladin, all like nice cheap creatures that have Battle Cry. Yeah, I just think that's what could have been, I think. So in summary, I think this deck's like all right. It's kind of standard red-white aggro, but red-white aggro is it's hard to get wrong. I think this does a good job. It's go wide with a bunch of tokens. You've got some burn options in there. You've got like the battle crate creatures that let your kind of smaller token creatures kind of punch up a bit. Yeah, overall, I think this is pretty good. Like, I think the rares are pretty good, honestly. I know I've just talked about 2 replacements for White Sun Zenith, but I think that's okay because it helps the deck by going wide. And Victory's Herald, I think, is a really nice rare to have, and like I think it would look amazing in foil. I don't know, I never got this deck, but yeah, it looks pretty solid, I think. I quite like it. But that's just my thoughts on the deck after seeing it. If you've got any thoughts, comments, stories, opinions about this deck or any of the cards in it, then yeah, please put a comment below. Always like reading those. But I'll be back next time to look at another Mirrodin Besieged intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.